Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to the channel. This is the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, bringing you another ink session. This week, I'll be inking this picture of Kana from my free, not safe for work webcomic Dark Horse. Links are in the description. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I manage my Patreon and Subscribestar pages, and talk a little bit about the idea behind why I started them. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about in this week's video. Ample benefits? Question mark? But first, I want to thank my new YouTube subscribers for joining. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. And I also apologize ahead of time if this seems like just an extended advertisement. That is not my main goal here. Obviously, it is a goal. I would be disingenuous to say that I wasn't wanting to talk about this for any reason that benefits me. But I also was just thinking that I do have a lot of people who watch that I do believe have their own comics. So I figured this might give them a little bit of an idea of what I do to offer to my patrons. And by the way, my patrons are amazing. And when I say patrons, I mean patrons, donators, and Subscribestar subscribers. That's repetitious. As another disclaimer, I am obviously not the most successful Patreon owner by any measure. I am very, very, very small. But that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the people who have been donating to my craft. And while I'm not the most successful, I have some success, and that makes me happy. But I want to start by saying a few things about starting these donation sites. In past videos, I have made it very clear that I fully intend to keep Dark Horse free to the public on these various mirror sites, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm the greatest artist or writer by any means, but I have been working very hard to improve upon my craft, and I've come to it with this mindset that no matter how much I improve or pipe dream, no matter how popular Dark Horse gets, I am determined to keep it free. And the main reason for that, besides my, current lack of skill, I mean, I've got some skill, but it's not professional level by any means. But I used to be that person who, in my ill-spent youth, wasted so much money on manga. Money that now that I'm older, I realized I should have been saving to help me pay for college. But I don't regret those purchases, or rather, I don't regret reading those comics, because what they did for me was inspired me. They helped me to figure out what my passion was. And also, they helped me improve my own paneling and looking at like the great artists. It encourages me and helps me learn. So I don't regret having read those manga. Also in college, I'd taken a writing course and I was disheartened at the response to one of my stories. And rightfully so. I mean, they were totally right, 100%. But one of the critiquers had said that this story is more like a gimmicky comic than a short story, and they were right. So 100% good critique. I'm not like bitching about the critique, but those comics, the manga, they helped me kind of figure out what I wanted to do, because it's like, oh, yeah, actually they're right. I would rather be drawing than writing, even though it's kind of like a balance of the two, if that makes any sense. But with manga in general during college, for me, they're easy enough to read that I was able to pick one up, stop whenever I needed to, and that really helped me out, because when I was in college, I was doing so much reading for all my different courses that I didn't have any real leisure time for picking up a book that I wanted to read. So I feel like it kind of helped me keep my sanity during college. I definitely don't regret reading so much manga, but because I don't like pirating from artists, I want them to get paid. Plus with like the clampdown on free manga sites like OneManga, I think is what it was called. There's a couple other ones that I used to check out. But I wish that in my younger days I had more access to free manga and comics as like an entertainment thing. So whenever I got out of college, my debt was so high that we had to cancel our internet, period. My friend and I that rented an apartment together, we had to cancel our internet because we couldn't afford it. And we had to go to the library. At my library in college, the only manga that really we had access to was one, the great, absolutely fantastic Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. That was good. And I think they also had like Astro Boy. But there weren't really, until I was starting to get older, a lot of free manga options. The libraries in the Midwest were not really carrying a lot of manga until I was out of college and older by that point. So being aware of all this and finally discovering that there's a lot of free indie comics out there, and with the help of my current partner encouraging me to, you know, kind of do this for free, I started seeing the value of sharing comics for free. It's not just for me, but it's also to help people who don't have $10 or $15 to plop down on a manga, but still deserves the right to be entertained. Or not even the right, but I mean, I don't know. I just like the idea of the free sharing of ideas and entertainment with one another. I guess it's not really a right unless you want it. I don't know. I won't get into that. I'm not even going to flesh out the idea, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Because I've been there, and I've been at a point where I couldn't afford even internet. So if you can't afford internet, you know, maybe you can go to the library and read some comics and stuff like that. So that's kind of the impetus behind keeping this free. But now that I've said that, where does Patreon and Subscribestar come in? Well, it's kind of a way to compensate for doing comics for free. And being a patron for others myself, I know that I want other artists to be able to earn money off their craft. So for me, I wanted to give people who were interested the opportunity to give me their money. If they wanted to, if they saw a value in what I was doing. It's a way for like us as fans to kind of pay it forward to the people who are sharing their art for free. So I figured, you know, why not? I mean, I would like to do this for a living. At the same time, I want to keep it free, and of course my main website has ads and stuff, but I don't have a lot of traffic, so Patreon and Subscribestar are great ways to provide an opportunity to earn a little bit of money and also let people who are fans give you payment directly as opposed to having to go through like a middleman or something, if that makes sense. It helps indie artists make a living of what they do best. So yeah, regarding the rewards, I really wanted to offer something that was good for my patrons, some sort of Word of Wednesday remuneration. You know, what would be good to offer as a reward for people? I did a lot of research. I decided that I needed to keep up with things that I was capable of keeping up with because I am fairly busy in my personal life. So what I found out after doing a lot of research were some common things that other comic artists share. So of course, lowest tier, the most fair thing to do is to give early access, in my opinion, to the comics I create. I also like to share some ink work every now and then as like free color pages. You know, I just do that at random. It's not really tied into the tier. Blog access, world building, backstage information on projects or ideas, things regarding what I'm doing or working on or creating. Monthly wallpaper, I wanted to provide these as a way to help me improve on my character design and drawing. I still have a long way to go. Some of them are okay, some of them are a hot mess, so I have a lot of improvement to do, but it gives people something monthly to throw up as a background if they want to, and I use some of my own backgrounds. The monthly Q&A, I've talked about that before. In fact, in last week's video, I card up in the corner. I always give my patrons precedence, but I feel like doing these monthly helps me better connect with readers. It helps me to kind of flesh out the story for things that I'm not going to be going into a lot of detail yet. And it also helps me think more critically about what's going on in the comic, because if I'm getting a lot of the same questions, then I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that this is clear because I'm not doing my job. So I like the Q&As because it's reciprocal. I do a one-time avatar at a certain tier. I also, at the higher up tiers, there's stuff like an autographed piece of art and autographed comic. I have been printing off Dark Horse. I'm getting ready to do Act 3. It's going to be available soon. I'll talk about that in a later video. And then I have like a merch discount at the highest one. But yeah, Subscribestar is kind of cool. It's more not safe for work, I feel, than Patreon. They're very controlling in what you can create, so I feel like Subscribestar is a little more freeing. I do like a monthly nude, and I feel that helps me with anatomy and with silhouettes, so that's what Subscribestar is for me. And I offer a lot of the same perks that I do over on Patreon. They have an actual setting for 18+, which is kind of nice. I figure there's perks to both Patreon and Subscribestar, but there's a lot of other options out there like Ko-fi, and even PayPal you can get donations from. I'm actually going to link to a forum thread that kind of inspired this video. It's on Comic Fury. There were a lot of other indie artists piping in saying, here are some other options besides Patreon. If you have like a disagreement with how Patreon does stuff, there are a lot of other options out there besides Patreon. Anyway, that'll be down in the description. But yeah, I'd like to know what your thoughts and opinions are on this. So the question of the week, what do you look for as a reward for being a patron or a donator? Me personally, to answer this question, I have kind of a bias. When I actually decide to support a fellow artist, I do it because I love their comic or their art, or like I am a patron of Comic Fury. I'm not trying to brag about what I'm a patron of, but they support me, and I figure it's the least I could do to throw $1 their way a month. So, and I don't really expect anything in return, because my personal goal as a patron is to just be paying it forward and to help support someone whose art I like. Now, that said, it's not to say that I don't think patrons should expect any rewards. Yeah, time to wrap up this video. If you want to donate or become a patron, all the links and stuff like that's down in the description below. Otherwise, I love a like, sub, doing the bell thing. That always helps me out. Thank you for watching this. Peace and love. Fare you well, and keep on trucking.